I'm delighted to say, though, that Joseph O'Brien joins us on the line this morning. Good morning to you, Joseph. How are things?
Hi, Eoin. Good, thank you.
So, Master of Reality, your horse who finished closest to the top in that race, beaten overnight. I presume it's disappointment, Joseph? Like when you watched the race, it was a good win, obviously, beaten near the end, but then relegated to fourth overall afterwards. How does the whole scenario sit with you at the moment?
Yeah, no, listen, it was a fantastic run on. Very proud of the horse and all the work that the lads that KSA travelled down here with the horse for the last couple of weeks. We're very proud. Obviously, gutted to get beaten such a fine margin, but it was a fantastic run, and we're delighted. We got demoted to fourth. There was a little bit of interference just before the line. And they're the rules in Australia. When you interfere with a horse, you get placed behind it. So we got pushed back to fourth, which obviously was disappointing. But like I say, ultimately very proud of the performance of the horse and the guys. And yeah, looking forward to maybe we'll have another crack next year.
Right. So if that race took place over here, the interference wouldn't have been called out, or how does the rule differ?
There would have been a result. There would have been an insurance inquiry, but who knows what the outcome would be. I suppose when there's a certain element of when in Rome that the stewards here deliberated and they listened to the jockeys and they came to their decision. So that's fair. However their rules are, when we're here, we comply to them, and that's what happened. There was a little bump going to the line, and we got placed back to fourth. But like I say, ultimately, it was a fantastic run from the horse, and we're delighted.
Yeah, it certainly was. How did Frankie feel after that? I think he's been suspended now for a while for careless riding.
Frankie got a couple of days in the run. It was his 20th ride in the race, and he hasn't won it yet. So we were all hoping that today could be the day, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Gutted for him because we obviously got so close. But he'll be back to fight again.
As a trainer, when you're watching that coming down the home stretch, when you're in with a real shout of winning another Melbourne Cup, how do you feel? Is it nervous, or do you have to keep cool in the head at that point?
No, obviously you're excited and nervous, and the combination of all different things. I suppose with any sport, at any level, the margins are very fine, and I know that, and I've known that you haven't won any race until you cross the line in front. So, yeah, like I say, in any sport, the margins are very fine between winning and losing, and unfortunately we just came out on the wrong side of it today.
What is the Melbourne Cup like as an event? It's obviously something you've had great success in before, and perhaps now it's disappointment on this occasion, but obviously the scenes around Vow and Declare seemed incredible this morning. It seems like an unbelievable race meeting.
It's a huge occasion. There's almost 100,000 people there. They call it the race that stops the nation down here, and it's a bank holiday in Melbourne, and literally the city stops and goes racing. It's a fantastic occasion. It's a privilege to be able to take part in it, and I would advise anyone, if they ever get an opportunity to come and go racing on the day, to do so. It's a special occasion, and it's a privilege to take part, and luckily we were very lucky to win the race a few years ago.
Yeah, it's been some couple of days for you as well, Joseph. I mean, on a purely globe-trotting level, how do you feel? Are you still jet-lagged a bit going from the Breeders' Cup to the Melbourne Cup? It's an insane part of the flat season, isn't it?
It is, yeah. This time of year we've plenty of travelling. We're very lucky that we have a great team of staff and a great team of lads at home, and that travel with the horses around the world when they're racing. I suppose it's been a fantastic week of sport for Irish people and Irish sports people, and we're very proud that we had a small part to play in that.
When it comes to the Breeders' Cup win, I think you're the youngest trainer to saddle a winner at a Breeders' Cup meeting. Does that sort of tag ever give you a bit of pride? Because I know it's been something that's always been said about you, achieving so much so young as a trainer. I know it's been only a couple of days and you had to get to Melbourne immediately afterwards almost, so you probably haven't had time to soak it in. But after a couple of days, how do you feel about that tag now?
Yeah, obviously it is. It's very special to be the youngest trainer to win there. But I suppose I'm very lucky that I've been supported by some fantastic owners all over the world, and the Breeders' Cup is such a special meeting to be able to take part and to go over there is fantastic. And really to have a winner there was like a dream. It's literally the world stage of horse racing, and it's a very special weekend.
I think you were the youngest ever jockey to win at the Breeders' Cup as well. Was it? I suppose I can't remember how many. I think you were 18 at the time when it happened a few years back at this point. So Breeders' Cup, it's obviously an event that means just as much to you as the Melbourne Cup. Getting abroad, well away from Irish shores, isn't something that's ever troubled you.
Yeah, no, I was very lucky to ride a winner there. I had only had one winner, and I obviously would have rode there in a number of years. It's a very, very difficult place to go and compete. Obviously, the circumstances are so different, and the conditions are so different to what our horses are used to running at back in Ireland and in the UK. So it's a fantastic experience. It's a meeting that we look forward to every year, but. It's not easy to come here or to go there and compete.
It wasn't a bad weekend for the family overall. Donncha, of course, crowned Irish champion, flat jockey. Have you been speaking to him? How happy is he to get that crown again?
Yeah, delighted. He's over the moon. He had a fantastic season. Himself and Colin Keane had a great battle all the way to the finish. Colin is a fantastic rider, and Donncha just came out on top this year. He's had a great season, and I think he's going to take it easy for a couple of weeks. Obviously, he's quite tall and would have struggled with his weight, making weight pretty much every day all the last 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season. So he's going to take it easy for a couple of weeks, and it's well earned.
Yeah, because that would have been something that was in line with your career as a jockey as well. He's 21 years old at this point. I presume you're around the same height, and you obviously had a bit of trouble as well near the end of your career as a jockey in terms of making that weight. It is an unbelievably challenging part of the job.
It is, absolutely. I suppose both Donncha and myself are around 6 foot, and Donncha is riding at 125 pounds or 126 pounds day in, day out there all summer long. So obviously it's physically it's very draining, and mentally it's very draining as well. So but I suppose it's fantastic to be in the position to be able to ride some very good horses, and he's like I say, he'll have a well-earned break, and look forward to next year.
What do you do during that break? You've gone through it a couple of times when you've gone through a couple of months of particularly arduous making weight and trying to compete at the highest level. Is it just completely shackles off and not think about racing whatsoever, or how does a jockey behave during that time?
No, I don't know. I suppose they have to they have to keep an eye on their weight to a certain extent, because the heavier they get, the more weight they have to cut when they come back. But I suppose the most important thing is just to relax and mentally to get away from the stress and the day in, day out nature of the game, because it's very tough and there's lots of highs and lows, and I think just to relax and have a freshen up and come back with a clear mind.
Yeah, I think he mentioned AP and he mentioned Pat Smullen as well in the aftermath of getting that crown over the course of the weekend, saying that I just don't know how they managed to do it over such a long period of time. Like, obviously, it helps if you're not 6 foot tall, but what else is the key when it comes to actually having that mental fortitude to come back year after year after year right at the top of the game?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a very tough job. The jockeys making weight every day. I suppose that's probably the hardest part of it. And the other side of it is the best jockeys in the world are probably riding to a 20-25% win strike rate. So almost 80% of the time they're losing. So mentally, you never really feel like things are going that well, because you're losing way more often than you're winning. So it's tough physically and mentally, but we're very lucky in Ireland that some of the best horsemen and the best jockeys in the world have come from Ireland, and they're in Ireland, and we're very lucky to be able to see them compete day in, day out.
When you look back on 2019 as a whole, I'm not sure if you had time to reflect yet, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What's the biggest thing you've learned this year?
I suppose personally, it's been a very good season, and the Breeders' Cup obviously is a highlight. But I'm just very lucky and very grateful that we have a very good team of lads and a team of staff at home on the hill in owning that make my job very easy. I've been supported by some fantastic owners from all over the world, and they've all sent me some lovely horses, and to be able to repay them with winners is what my job is. But I suppose I'm very proud of the team that we have at home, and the guys that have travelled with the horses, and the guys that do all the work day in, day out. Our success goes to them.
And like at the age of 26 now, Joseph, do you still feel it's the art of training is something that you're working on as a craft? Do you still feel that you've got a long way to go, or do you kind of feel that you're happy where you're at the moment and you just need to do what you do better to try and get better, because I'm sure nobody is happy with where they're currently sitting?
No, I don't think anyone ever feels like they have got to a stage that they don't want to get better, and if they have, they probably need to change their mindset. We always want to improve. We want to do better next year than what we've done last year, and we'll continue to strive to do so every year. And that's what it's all about, and that's why we get up in the morning and go to work, because we want to have a better season next year than last season.
Well, Joseph, hard luck again on last night, but congratulations on the great success over the weekend. Great to chat to you.
Thanks very much, Eoin.